Welcome to Hannity. Tonight we have a jam-packed show. Senator Ted Cruz, Newt Gingrich, Congressman Kevin McCarthy, who wants to be the new Speaker of the House, are all here tonight. Plus, in a moment, Senator Marco Rubio will join us. But first, tonight, President Obama continues to meet with America's adversaries at the United Nations. Earlier today, Obama sat down with Cuba's communist president, Raul Castro, to discuss normalizing diplomatic relations. Now, it is the first time leaders from both countries have met on U.S. soil in almost 60 years. And yesterday, President Obama also held talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin to figure out ways to end the crisis in Syria and combat ISIS. Now, President Obama also shook hands with the Iranian foreign minister, making it the first handshake between a U.S. president and Iran's top diplomat in more than 30 years. Here with reaction, 2016 GOP presidential candidate Senator Marco Rubio is with us. Senator, let me start with Vladimir Putin. I thought you had one of the best moments in the last debate when you called him a gangster. And then you went on to make a prediction that is absolutely now coming true. Explain.
Well, we know that Russia, a couple things are happening with Russia under Putin. One is this knee-jerk reaction. They're going to be against whatever America wants. But the second is he wants to reposition Russia as a geopolitical force equal to the United States. And so this thing that's going on in the Middle East is an example of it. What is going on now is he's going across to the countries in the Middle East and he's saying, look, the Americans broke the Middle East and now they're leaving and they're unreliable. So we're going to step in and we're actually going to fight ISIS. We're really going to do it. But his real goal here is to protect Assad, keep Assad in power and increase his leverage in the region. And that's exactly what he's achieving by what he's done now over the last 48 hours, not just repositioning military assets within the territory of Syria, but also going to the United Nations and saying to the world that Russia, under Vladimir Putin, they're going to be the ones that lead the anti-ISIS coalition. It really diminishes America, both geopolitically in the region, but ultimately in the eyes of our allies and others around the world.
You know, Machiavelli once famously said, it's better to be feared than loved. Why do I see Vladimir Putin as the one that is feared, not loved, and Obama's not loved or feared? In other words, is America now on the world stage creating a vacuum, betraying our allies like Israel and others in the Middle East, and opening this basically giving away the table to the Iranians? Is now Putin coming in and taking advantage of that? And what does it mean for what's going to happen down the road in terms of international safety?
Well, here's what it means. Number one, Vladimir Putin's reputation. People may not like him in the international stage or some of the things he's done, but he's seen as decisive and reliable, albeit in a way that perhaps is not in the interest of most of the world. On the other hand, Obama is seen as unreliable, skittish, afraid to engage, and not clear about what he wants to do moving forward. And what Barack Obama does not fundamentally understand and has never understood is that in the Middle East in particular, weakness is an invitation for further aggression. And that's how America under Barack Obama is viewed right now by many of the nations in the Middle East, as an unreliable country, maybe even a country in decline, but most certainly a country run by someone who they view as unreliable and weak. And the consequences are significant geopolitically because it extends not just to the Middle East, but in the Asia-Pacific region and even into Europe.
62% of Republicans feel betrayed by the Republican Party in D.C. 52% of Americans feel that Congress is corrupt. You're in the middle of negotiating a continuing resolution in the Senate and the House, and the issue of Planned Parenthood's coming up. Executive amnesty, that ended up getting funded back in February when the Republicans said they would stop that in the last election cycle. Then you go back to defunding Obamacare. Republicans wouldn't use the power of the purse. Is the Republican Party fighting hard enough? In other words, do they deserve that poll number? Because I would argue they probably do.
Yeah, and here's why. Because the first point I would make is, fighting isn't just saying, well, we're going to vote, we're going to take a vote, we're going to prove to people we don't have the votes, and then we'll do what we need to do. That's not what fighting means. What fighting means is we've decided we're not going to fund this organization. These videos have exposed them for who they truly are. And then you spend weeks and months making the argument to the American people. This is why we're not going to do this. And you win that argument, or at least you do the best you can to try to win it. They didn't even try to do that. In essence, they put a few press releases out saying, oh, we're against this, this is an outrage. Then they took a show vote, and then ultimately nothing happens. And that's the point. It's come now to the point where the leadership, unfortunately, in both parties, but there's those who now believe that we can't win an argument. We can't win going out there and advocating for these positions with the American people. We can't win this public debate, so let's not even try. If you from the very beginning say, we're going to do the best we can, but there's no way we're going to win, in essence, you've already given up, and you've created an invitation for this sort of thing to happen. But how do we solve this? So that's my problem. We should have said early on, we're not going to do it.
All right, but
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Republicans ended up funding Obamacare. They have the power of the purse. That's how I read the Constitution. I believe you'll probably end up funding Planned Parenthood, just like you funded illegal, unconstitutional executive amnesty. Boehner has now pretty much been pushed out, as far as I'm concerned. He's leaving. We'll check in with Kevin McCarthy tonight. But is Mitch McConnell fighting? Does he need to go?
Well, look, I'm not calling for that right now, but I am saying this. We need to do a better job up front of saying this is what we're doing, and this is what we're not going to do, and here's why. And in a sustained way over a consistent period of time, make the argument in the court of public opinion. And we're not doing that. But, Sean, you know, that's not going to change, by the way, in my opinion, until we have a nominee and ultimately, hopefully, a president that will do that. And right now, that's not happening. It's not happening in either house. And I think that's one of the things that's leading to this incredible amount of discomfort
but Senator,
that now exists among the base of the party and America at large.
Wasn't 2014 the election was give us the Senate, we'll stop the illegal, unconstitutional executive amnesty? That was the whole campaign.
That's
was
exactly
about
right, and that's why people are so angry.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you this.
That's why people are so angry, because they said, we gave you the House, we gave you the Senate, and Obama keeps winning.
This, in many ways, this presidential campaign is the year of, I would argue, the insurgent candidate. You do the best among, I would argue, the non-insurgent candidates. Is that a fair characterization?
Well, yes, I've worked in the Senate for 4 years, but I'm not of the Senate. I work in the Senate. I'm proud to represent Florida in the Senate. But let's remember why I went there to begin with. I went to the U.S. Senate because I didn't like the direction of this country, and I didn't think either party was doing a good job in that regard. And that's the same reason why I'm not running for re-election, and instead I'm running for president, because I'm convinced now more than ever that we're not going to get this country on the right track until we put someone in the White House that is going to do what needs to be done. It takes presidential leadership to achieve these things.
Well, you've had a significant increase in the polls, especially after the last debate. I'm sure that makes you happy. With that comes added scrutiny. There's been a back and forth between you and Donald Trump. He's attacked you. You've responded. And at the Value Voters Summit, by the way, when he attacked you, he didn't get a great response. Let's roll the tape.
Senator Rubio is a lightweight. We understand that. He wouldn't be able to do this. He wouldn't know a trade deal from any other deal.
Marco Rubio is a lightweight. I can't imagine that he goes anywhere. Who, by the way, has the worst voting record in the United States Senate.
You have this clown, Marco Rubio. I've been so nice to him. I've been so nice. I've been so nice.
Marco Rubio, he's like a kid. He shouldn't even be running in this race as far as I'm concerned. He's a kid. Marco Rubio, who has the worst voting record in the United States Senate, and a young guy, although he sweats more than any young person I've ever seen in my life.
Now, you responded, and let's play a little bit of what you said in your response.
Look, I'm not interested in the back and forth to be a member or a part of his freak show. I would just say this. He is a very sensitive person. He doesn't like to be criticized. He responds to criticism very poorly. But this election is not going to be about Donald Trump. He thinks it is, but it's not about him. It has to be about the issues confronting our country. And my sense of it is that every time issues become prominent, he will say something outrageous or do something outrageous so that he doesn't have to talk about the issues.
What's your reaction to all of this? Is this just part and parcel of presidential politics?
Yeah,
we should expect this?
Well, no, it isn't. It shouldn't be, and it normally isn't, but like I said earlier before, it's very clear he's a very insecure person. He doesn't like to be criticized. You know, the presidency's a tough job. You're going to be criticized, and you can't flip out every time somebody says something about you. He does. And that's his problem. I don't have time to kind of analyze why that is, but that's the reality of it. He had a bad week. You know, he got booed on a stage. He had very few people show up to an event he gave. Just today, Tom Brady said he's not endorsing Donald Trump, despite these reports that he didn't even have Tom Brady on his side now. So he's a very sensitive guy, and that's fine. That's his problem. I'm not going to worry about it. Here's what I am going to worry about.
Why do you think he's doing so well?
I'm going to worry about the future of this country.
What is he tapped into that you think he's doing so well?
Well, first of all, I mean, three-quarters Well, I mean, let's be clear. I mean, 3/4 of the Republican Party does not support him. That being said, both him and other candidates have tapped into what you and I just discussed a moment ago. And that is the political class is completely out of touch with this country. The disconnect between Washington, D.C., both political parties, and our people has never been broader. People are worried. You know, you got millions of people in this country living paycheck to paycheck. And this government is making it worse for them, not better for them. There's this feeling that the only people that win are the people that are connected to government, who can hire a lobbyist and influence the direction of it. And for the first time in 35 years, you have more businesses dying than starting, and nothing is happening. And they've been hearing promises from both political parties for the better part of a decade.
All right,
nothing gets better,
question.
and people are angry, and they're frustrated.
How you've now come up significantly in the polls. Walk us through the path that you see to the presidency, to the nomination.
Well, I've always believed these campaigns are about going out and telling people who you are and what you will do. In essence, telling people where we can go as a country and showing them what it's going to take to get there. And look, I don't think there's a federal government answer to every one of our problems. I believe in a limited government. So I want to make America the best place in the world to create the best jobs of the 21st century. I want to make it easier and cheaper for people to acquire the skills they need for that job, for those jobs. But most importantly, I want a federal government that keeps us safe, that secures our border, that rebuilds our military, that has a foreign policy of moral clarity and strength. And that's what my campaign is all about. And I've outlined clear ideas about how to achieve it. That's what I'm going to keep doing from now until the votes are cast. And I am very confident, Sean, that if we do that consistently and effectively, that we're going to be the nominee. But it's going to take a lot of hard work. It's a very competitive field, but I feel very optimistic about it.
4 months is an eternity in politics. There's no doubt about it. Senator, we always appreciate your time. Thanks for being with us.
4 weeks is an eternity. Yeah.
4 years, that's
Thank
true.
you.
Never mind 4 months. Good point. Coming up, John Boehner rips his conservative critics on his way out the door in Washington. Coming up next, Senator Ted Cruz, he's going to have reaction. And then later tonight, Newt Gingrich, he'll weigh in on the GOP leadership shakeup. Also, Kevin McCarthy, he wants to be the next Speaker of the House. Will he stand up for conservative principles? He'll answer that question and more tonight, right here, exclusively.
Irresistible moments deserve irresistible treats. New from Meow Mix, with real salmon, chicken, or tuna. The only treat cats ask for by name.
I am totally blind, and sometimes I struggle to sleep at night and stay awake during the day. This is called non-24.
Learn more by calling 844-824-2424 or visit your24info.com.
We went to Sandals because the best of everything was included. Sandals said they had more quality inclusions than any other resorts on the planet. What we never expected was, they do. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
Hey, McMillan, you gelling?
I'm gelling and Zinfandel, and so's my new bride, Helen McMillan.
I'm so happy my eyes are welling.
Dr. Scholl's massaging gel insoles are so soft, they make your feet feel outrageously comfortable.
I'm gelling.
You're so not gelling.
Dr. Scholl's.
Fox Business giving you the power to prosper. S&P 500 finishes the day in green, breaking a 5-day losing streak. For the latest on what impacts your wallet, watch Fox Business.
Wherever there's news, you'll find The Daily Show. The United Nations, we're there. The White House, we're there. Really? We blew our budget on the UN?
Introducing The Daily Show with Trevor Noah.
There's a lot of questions about the new Daily Show. Are we still covering the election? Yes. Still keeping all our amazing correspondents? Of course. Still selling our special moments jewelry collection? Only 3 left. Call now.
Weeknights on Comedy Central.
I have this recurring dream where I actually enjoy flying. There's plenty of room to stretch out. I never get bored. And I just feel welcome. Then it's back to reality. Come on, being treated with dignity? Yeah, right. Huh.
Live Live from America's News Headquarters, I'm Kelly Wright in Washington. Good evening. The first of several planned trials in the death of Baltimore citizen Freddie Gray is now set for November 30th. Gray, you'll recall, died last April after being severely injured while in police custody. 6 Baltimore cops have been charged in his death. The first officer to face trial is accused of failing to provide medical help for Gray while he was in the back of a police van. The other defendants will be tried separately early next year. All the trials will be held in Baltimore. And Afghan troops continue to battle with Taliban forces in the northern city of Kunduz. The Taliban seized the strategic city yesterday in a surprise attack. American warplanes were backing Afghan soldiers in their fight to reclaim Kunduz, but more airstrikes are unlikely because the Taliban are now positioned in civilian neighborhoods. I'm Kelly Wright. Now back to Hannity.